Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Aiden. I go by Tuesday Enthusiast Online, and today you're doing a simple little draw with me. I'm so thankful you're here. We're just gonna get into it. So here we are in my sketchbook, and if I'm being completely honest, I wasn't even gonna film this, but I told myself, hey girl, like, worst case scenario, you film it and you never post it. Best case scenario, which plot twist, this was best case scenario, you end up making some art that you love and you want to share the process with the world. And it was option 2. I'm obsessed with this piece. I love it so much. So the day before this was filmed, I sketched this little trout in my sketchbook. I was just really feeling like drawing a trout. Not 100% sure why, but like, your girl was just like, let me draw a fish, and a trout was the first one that came to mind. And I'm using my favorite acrylic markers. These are the Posca Uniset. I love this color palette so much. Initially, I was just gonna try to use orange, red, and the green, but I ended up using pretty much every marker in the palette. I think maybe after the camera rolled, I did like a little tiny bit of purple at the very end, but like straight up I used every color in the palette, which I wasn't expecting. But this is my little trout, and I'm going to tell you a little story from my childhood whilst I draw in the background. So if that sounds interesting to you, grab a cup of tea, grab some coffee, enjoy the show, and yeah, let's get into this story. So a trout is a pretty significant fish to me because they remind me of my dad, who is still alive. I just want to make it clear that I'm not telling you a story about my dead father. But we went fishing all the time when I was a kid. He's always been into fishing, like as long as I can remember. He's been on the water with a rod as often as possible. We used to have a cottage when I was growing up, and most of my memories of my dad being there was like him sitting on the dock at like dawn or dusk with a rod, and like the water being like still as glass, and just him and his little lawn chair on the dock minding his business. And a lot of evenings we would like go boating into the lake and like try to catch some fish. And I mean, I came along for the ride. I was never good at it. I don't really love touching worms or like injuring animals, so I kind of ended up just like coming along to like be on the water because I'm a water girl. I love water, so I was down for a boat trip and to like hang out and like assist him and like be there for the excitement of catching the fish, but I never actually wanted to touch the fish or put the worm on the hook or like reel it in. Like, that kind of spooked me. So my dad caught a lot of trout that looked a lot like this in the lake that we had our cottage on here in Canada, and it just kind of reminded me of him while I was drawing this. I was thinking about my dad and the summertime and cottage trips, and there's a picture of me holding a trout from my like teen years. I'll see if I can scrounge it up. I look so uncomfortable that it's in my hand. But yeah, that's kind of the significance of this piece. It like ended up becoming quite significant as I was working on it. I was reminiscing on all of these feelings and yeah, thinking about my dad, which is nice. In fact, I might even try to give this to him as a print for Father's Day. I think I'll have the time to pull that off because it's in like a month. So hey, if you have a dad that likes to fish too, hit me up. Maybe we can make something happen for you. As far as technique goes, while I was working on this, I really spent time with the orange and then the yellow and the red, and eventually now into the green, just looking at a reference photo of a trout, like a legit fish on the internet, and then just kind of placing blocks of color where it aligned with the trout picture. This is generally how I work. I'm like aware of the main color of the piece and the colors that I want to use as my like highlights, midtones, whatever have you, and then I just start blocking things in wherever they feel right. at this point, I was honestly starting to hit like flow state. I wasn't really actively choosing decisions in the same way as when you like start art. I don't really know how to explain that. I'm always in like mechanical mode at first, and then after like a couple minutes, I just start going kind of on autopilot, and things are just like happening to me instead of with me, and I'm enjoying it. Like, I'm there for the ride, but like I'm not necessarily as conscious about the choices that I'm making, if that makes any sort of sense. It's just choices being made. So I'm gonna use this pink quite sparingly, just to add a little bit, and I ended up like, I don't know if you've used paint markers before, but if you have and you kind of pump it a little too much, it'll like splurt. I did that on the top of the page, and it kind of caused me some issues for the rest of the piece, but that's okay. I'm able to like remove that if I ever decide to scan it in or whatever. But it was kind of like a funny saga of getting pink everywhere. I used a lot of this like hatching-y kind of wispy stroke technique with the pink to kind of blend between the green and the yellow on the fins in a lot of places, just to like kind of add some smoothness. And also there was some pink tones in those sections of the reference photo. I actually was pretty intimidated with the amount of like pinky red colors initially when looking at the trout in the reference photo. I was like, brother, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off. But sometimes you just gotta trust the process and let it kind of go through the ugly phase. So yeah, this is her. She's doing her thing. We're adding colors slowly but surely, continuing just to layer things on in a way that makes sense to me in that moment. And lo, it turned out really well. I just want to talk a little bit about inspiration and feeling inspired and creating regardless of the inspiration. Sometimes you go through ebbs and flows just like everything else in life. I've been going through a bit of an ebb where I was not feeling terribly inspired by like anything I was seeing, and then I didn't really want to draw and make art, and I ended up generally trying for like 5 or so minutes every day just to like draw something or sketch something and hoping that maybe something might strike. That's not to say that I was trying to force it by any means, but I was trying to just like continue to like maintain my skill level in this ebb. And it's important, just as if you were taking care of your mental health or your physical health, like your creativity to me is a factor of your humanity. Like, it does have like a stamina bar, if you will, and it's so easy to like accidentally drain it. And listening to your body when it's asking for a bit of a like replenishing time is so important. And that's not to say that you have to stop creating entirely, but maybe you have to find different outlets to create. I find that when you are good with a certain medium, or when you spend a lot of time using certain materials, it adds this like pressure to perform a certain way to the outcome of each piece that you make, and that isn't always good or useful. And so if you are in a bit of a rut like I have been, I highly recommend trying out a different medium and experimenting in a way that's like super low stakes, because it's something new, so you can't be perfect at it or really good at it. That has really helped me get out of this rut. I've been trying a ton of different things, between like gouache techniques that I've never really considered. I've been trying like some Ghibli style like landscapes, which is so out of my wheelhouse normally. But I've noticed that has really helped unlock this like desire to create again in my more familiar mediums, such as these acrylic markers, or just in formats that make more sense to me that I've been doing historically. So this is your reminder that like sometimes you get in a rut and you just kind of gotta let yourself go through it and respect that boundary and try to find ways to take the pressure off of yourself so that you can get back to doing the things you love, because the pressure just makes it harder to actually start doing things again. The pressure tells you, hey, this is like a serious thing, and nothing really is that serious. Like, creativity is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be playing. You're supposed to be exploring. And you can't do that when you are expecting a masterpiece from yourself every time. We're getting close to the end of this drawing. So at this point, I'm adding some of the fine details with the darkest color in my palette, which is this like electric blue color. So I was using it quite sparingly in like blocks of color up by the head to add some shadow, and then along the top ridge of the fish. And then I started adding all of these dots. I noticed in the reference photo that on the top fin and the tail, the dots are kind of acting like stripes. They like form in straight lines, which was really cool. And I think we're pretty much done at this point. If you've made it this far, please leave me a like and hit that subscribe button. It really does help. I really enjoyed making this video, so let me know in the comments below if you like this format, and I will happily do another one. I think this is my first draw with me officially, so thanks for being here. If you're interested in any of my art or the meal club, joining it, by that I mean, please do so with the links down below. And here is the final reveal. How do you think I did? Let me know down below, and remember to stay crafty. I will see you next time. Bye!